6 needed, and that could be the winning hit. It is. It's 6 for Lewis Gregory, and Somerset have won by 6 wickets. Tremendous win for Somerset, chasing down 194 to win, with Will Smead leading the way.
Hello there, this is Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this evening, safely returned from sunny Orlando, is our exiled northern correspondent, Steve Tancock. Steve, how you going? Did you have a good holiday?
Yeah, good holiday, thank you. Made all the better by sitting on the beach, getting the live text through of Abe's hitting the winning runs.
Can't think of a better way to spend your holiday. Many wives don't agree that that is the best way to spend your holiday. Or I think the quote is always on your bloody phone watching the cricket. But, you know, if it relaxes me.
Has to be done.
To be fair, it doesn't
holiday.
actually relax you watching a tense run chase like happened at the Utilita Bowl last week. And also joining us today is the only one of us who's actually watched Somerset since we last recorded. He's the only one who managed to make it to Taunton on Saturday to watch a pretty good game of cricket. Dan, always nice when we beat Surrey.
It is indeed, yeah, and extremely nice when it was so comprehensive as well. It was just a brilliant win against a team which obviously in the men's game we've got a pretty hot rivalry with. Hopefully in the women's game it will go the same way. But yeah, we just need a Tom Curran character to emerge from the Surrey women's team, don't we?
Who is there? Yeah, I don't think there's any. I'm just looking through the lineup. They all seem pretty decent characters. I mean, I watched as much as I could Saturday. I was sort of in about doing things. I mean, Heather Knight's class was just abundant, and she really does feel like a new signing after missing most of last season with an injury. Just totally anchored that first innings total, didn't she?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the partnership with Luff was absolutely key. I mean, we'd lost a couple of early wickets. There was that short boundary on one side, which perhaps tempted both of the openers. At least one of the openers, I think, got out trying to sort of hit in that direction. But it did need a bit of circumspection, I think. You know, there was a bit of movement early on, is what Heather Knight said. But yeah, so Knight and Luff consolidated for a while and then just, gradually sped up. They're obviously probably our two best batters. And then once Luff got out, it was just Danny Gibson who came in instead, and Knight at that point was just very cleverly just giving the strike to Gibbo, who was hitting boundaries aplenty at the other end.
Not that Gibbo, the other Gibbo.
Danny.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Don't know if her and Auntie are related.
I don't think they are. I think we did ask the question once. I don't think they are, but
he keeps on batting like that, he'll find a relationship soon enough.
Definitely will, yeah. Yeah, just absolute class. I'll tell you what, one thing I really impressed me as well and kind of showed where they'd gone on from last year was Luffy. She got, I don't want to say she got stuck, but she was maybe about 15 off 30, 35 balls towards the start of her innings. She's a bit of a slow starter, but I think maybe in previous years she would have maybe felt that pressure a little bit more. Obviously, having Heather Knight at the other end, one of the all-time greats, is going to help. But I thought the way that he just suddenly went through the gears, and what she ended up with pretty much 60 at a run a ball. Tried to see what went on and accelerated. I think as well, looking at 2 wins against Surrey this season and last season, and benchmarking them, and looking at how we performed. That first win at Beckenham, that legendary win. Let's be honest, it took a pretty special performance to get us over the line from our overseas player. Whereas this season, it's a much more of an all-round team effort, and we've absolutely thumped them. So if you look at that, like where the side have gone in 12 months, I know Surrey don't play at a consistent level all the time. Nobody does. But looking at that, you think, oh, something's happening here.
Yeah, and the fact that it followed on from beating the defending champions Lancashire away from home as well, it does imply that something is a bit different this year. It'd be interesting to see how we go without our England players, because obviously the England players have contributed quite a lot so far. So it'd be interesting to see who can step up and hopefully keep the wins coming once the England players are away.
Yeah, because they don't start Well, the first ODI against New Zealand is Sunday the 10th of May. So there is quite a while before that starts. So
Yes, but I do have some news from that regard. Have you seen the squad for tomorrow?
I briefly looked at it. I know that the England girls aren't there.
They are not there, and it's very strange because every single other England centrally contracted or skills contracted player is available for their county tomorrow. There are a few exceptions in terms of like illnesses, injuries, and Lancs aren't playing, but every other England player who is available is playing for their county tomorrow. But our three are not, and I'm completely baffled. I can't work out the reason why. Initially, I thought when I saw it earlier, I thought, oh, maybe there's another bloody training camp. But no, all the other England players are available. So it's really, really strange and a real shame for us.
Well, I mean, we're about 4 or 5 weeks into the season, and we've not mentioned conspiracy theories yet because everything's going so well. But I think we found our first one that they've decided to rest our three best players, our three England internationals. Very, very strange. We await the explanation.
I mean, it will make for a more interesting match because Essex don't actually have any England players. And this match last season was basically the same time of year, also at Taunton Vale, and we had our England players and we thrashed them basically. So it will be more of an interesting match without the England players. And I mean, could it be because the ECB would see it as too much of a mismatch if we had our England players? Like, that's the only theory I can think of. I mean, it shouldn't be that. I know.
No, there's no way they can do that. Surely.
It shouldn't be. But I can't think of anything else.
They can't just go around arbitrarily handicapping teams because they fancy it.
But imagine.
I mean, it'd be nice if you could.
Well, the thing is, Hampshire have got 4 England players available tomorrow. All of their 4 England players are available for them tomorrow. If we were playing Hampshire tomorrow, it would be outrageous if they were allowed their 4 England players and we weren't allowed any of ours. So it makes me think that have they somehow taken the opposition into account? I mean, it's really, really, really strange. Somerset said why. They've just said unavailable. So, yeah, we need to get to the bottom.
I've never heard of anything like that in any form of professional sport. The governing body getting involved to handicap a side to make it a fair game against the opposition.
It might not be. Well, it might not be that they are only doing it to handicap Somerset. It might be that it could be because in the previous rounds, some players have been rested for the odd game. So Siva Brunt only just played her first game in the last round of games. She hadn't played before that. There's 1 or 2 others who have been rested for the odd game. It might be that Knight, Dean and Gibson were always going to be rested for 1 game, perhaps in this initial block of matches. And they thought, oh, let's make, it could be this Essex game to make the game more competitive. I'm not saying this is the reason at all, but
maybe, I don't know, maybe sometimes it will make sense to rest them all at once, and then you can pick your strongest side for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah,
and you have to worry about jiggling things around every week.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be our request almost. Yeah, it's really, really odd.
But anyway, it would be very nice if the girls do win tomorrow, because that would mean that Somerset, the team that makes notoriously bad starts to the season, would be undefeated in the first month. And there's a stat for you, Dan. When was the last time Somerset went undefeated in April?
Probably when we started on about the 28th of April.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yes.
COVID year.
What about 2024? Wasn't that a load of draws? Or was there a loss in there as well?
Oh, possibly. I don't know. But the point I'm making is we are being spoiled as Somerset fans at the moment. Everything is going extremely well. So long may it continue. Thanks for listening. Catch up with you next week. Steve, I know you were away last week, but I feel like I need to give you the floor because you are one of Tom Abel's biggest fans, and I know you've probably been dying to just chip in about his very special effort down at Utilita Bowl last week. So the floor is yours.
I think it was the most un-Tom Abel thing to actually go to his 100 with the winning shot, because I was, as I say, watching it from afar in terms of the text commentary, and for the last hour I was thinking Abe's is going to be not at 97 here. That's what's going to happen. And whoever's at the other end's going to hit the winning runs. And he would walk off perfectly happy with that. Wouldn't bother him at all because the win is more important than his personal milestones. But it's just, I don't think, although it's nerve-wracking for all of us, I actually don't think there is a better way to win a championship game than a decent run chase. You know, we had a run chase against Essex was nice for completely different reasons because it was all over before you blinked. But to win a proper run chase and to, you know, like this week, I've been sort of keeping a close eye on all the other games and on who's doing this, how Notts getting on, how Warwickshire getting on, what's happening here and there. Other teams will have looked and thought, okay, so they've rolled Essex at Chelmsford. Now they've been set a big target and they've chased that down. It's a multifaceted team. And of course, Lewis Gregory coming back into the side and having that crucial spell, which was a game changer, wasn't it? And the Hampshire second innings was just equally important. But you know, you knew on the final morning that it wasn't going to be Ruan able to cruise home. You knew it was going to happen like that, and then, you know, Craig Overton comes in and he's a banker to stay there with Aves. You know, he's gone, and it just worked out perfectly. And it's weird because sort of when we were talking pre-season, when we did our early pre-season podcast, and I was like, I think this is going to be a really tough season. Worried about the bowling, and I'm not getting carried away. Worried about the bowling, you know, no overseas, you know, no knock on Miggy, but no overseas international star to bolster the side. And you sort of think, and I've gone in the space of 3 matches from, well, let's just enjoy the season to, oh my God, what are my plans for the last couple of weeks of the season already? And I know in a couple of weeks' time you'll be shouting at me and saying, why did you even say that? But I'm saying it in the context of how I think we've overachieved, but how we've exceeded expectations already. You know, and let's look ahead to the next 3 games quickly. All 3 of those are eminently winnable games.
Yep.
You know, we haven't got, you know, Gibbo would be on and he hasn't got the opportunity to say, oh, but now we've got the real test. He was the one saying the champions at home, Essex and Hampshire away. That's a horrible start. What more can you do?
Finished at the top of the league, yeah. I mean, I'm obviously, you know, Yorkshire have got some quality players, most notably certain Joe Root will be making his way down to Taunton on Friday, which is nice to see him back, but not too many. Johnny Bairstow, you know, they are a good side. They've had a bit of a tough start to the season, but I mean, the last round of fixtures where we had the week off couldn't have gone any better, really.
No,
because
no.
I think as well as coming from Hampshire, that would have been quite an emotionally draining day watching that run chase. So just to be able to completely unwind after that and not have to think about, you know, getting yourself ready and fit for another game on Friday is massive as well. So I think they'll be fresh. Yorkshire, you know, well, all those games went to pretty boring draws. None of them went to the 4th innings, which I think is just a disgusting, disgraceful advert for the county championship. Really, I was sat here yesterday afternoon, sort of looking through the scorecard, thinking, is there anything exciting I can watch in Division 1? Is there anything that's going to even maybe have a 10% chance of sparking into life? And nothing did. The closest I think was, you know, Yorkshire took a couple of quick wickets against Sussex, and that one petered out into a draw. Ben Folkes bowling to Jordan Clark at the Oval come the end. I mean, you know, come what may, Jamie Smith just can't get the gloves down at the Oval. But just you could have asked for a better set of results, and we're not top anymore, but we're 1 point off in second with a game in hand. Life's pretty good. I'm happy.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I suppose the only... Go on, Dan, sorry.
Just going to say that in Division 2, all three matches were positive results. But yeah, Division 1 was just ball draws. And caused by flat pitches largely. I mean, Glamorgan played on a hybrid pitch, and they're often unreliable, aren't they? You never quite know what they're going to do. And yeah, they said that they didn't want it to be so flat, but that's how it turned out. Surrey was flat once again. The Oval is reverting to sort of real flat ones again this season, and for some of last season as well, wasn't it? So
Yeah, I mean, Chris Payne has been in touch on Twitter. He makes a good point that, with it being 8 points for a draw, there's not really that incentive. I mean, in a different world, Essex probably could have gone and tried to set something up on, there could have been something happened. Certainly the game at the Oval was probably the one that I paid most attention to. But I think they need to get rid of 8 points for a draw. I think they need to look at the batting bonus points as well. Does it need to be 450? Does it need to be 110 overs? I think it just all needs looking at. Do you just revert it, get rid of all of that, and just say, right, go for 10 points for a win and 4 points for a draw, or 3 points for a draw, or whatever, and that's it.
Well, 5 points for a draw was the norm. For 2013 to 2019, it was 5 points for a draw. Then it became 8 for a few years. Then it became 5 again in 2023. That was sort of a Bazball reasons. That was the same time that it went to 450 for the last batting point. But then in 2024, the batting point stayed as 450, but draws went back to 8. And I don't know if it was really explained properly at the time, but county fans all seem to largely agree that 8 points is far too many for a draw. And funnily enough, I have done a bit of research into this. So I've looked at last season.
He's got that glint in his eye, listeners. I can see it.
You can sit, do your knitting or whatever you want now. This is down for the next 20 minutes. Go.
Yeah, off his long run.
I've been meaning to do this for a long time, so I was very excited to get round to it. So it's just funnily enough, I happened to do this the other week. So in last season in the county championship, I looked at the average points each team got for a win and for a draw. So in the average win, a team got 21.1 points. So that's including bonus points. So the average win was 21 and a bit points. The average points
16 for the win and then 5.5 bonus points.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the average points in a draw was 12.6. So that's 8 and 4.5 bonus points. So basically, in a draw, you got more than the average points for a draw is more than half the average points for a win. That just shows that the point system is wrong to me. A draw should be half a win or less in basically any sport. Because when that's the problem, when you add on the bonus points, it skews these things. Because obviously, yes, a draw is worth half a win because it's 8 points for a draw and 16 points for a win. But once you add on the bonus points, that's not ever really how it works out. Especially because in a draw, it's more likely to be high scoring, it's more likely to be batting points. A win may well be more bowler friendly. You might only get 3 bowling points. So you could get a draw where you get like 16 points. But you can also get a win where you get 19 points. Like that is a 3-point difference. And that backs up the point that Chris Payne was making on Twitter, that it's too narrow of a gap between a draw and a win, so that teams are incentivized to produce flat pitches and draw their way to safety, to the title, whatever. I mean, you can't fully draw your way to that. You've got to get some wins. But that, to me, is the biggest indication that the number of points for a draw is wrong. The fact that in an average draw, you're getting more than more than half of the average win.
It was Jimmy Hill in football, wasn't it? Who came up with the idea of 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. So, like I say, that was back in the old days, 2 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. It kind of echoes what you're saying, Dan, is, you would, it's not really worth that much more trying to go for the win. It makes more sense, and in your line of work, Steve, accountancy, that if you look at you sort of balance the numbers and the statistics and the probabilities, and you look at your predicted ROIs and all this sort of nonsense, and then you look at it and go, well, it probably makes more sense to go for a low risk strategy, low risk, low reward, rather than a high risk, low reward.
Yeah. But it as Dan said, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy then, doesn't it? Because all the numbers will have been crunched and probably looked at the same numbers over the last few seasons, and county coaches and will be talking to their groundsmen, directors of cricket talking to their groundsmen and saying, there is no upside here of us taking the risk for 3. If the risk was 8-9 points for the win, worth doing it, because you can catapult yourself up a table in that situation. But you take all the risk and win, and then you find out you've only gained, what was the average spread, Dan? About 4 points, 5 points?
So the average win was 21. The average draw was 12.6.
Yeah,
So it's,
so
it's a
you
9-point game. But if you're producing flat ones, you're probably going to get more than 12, obviously, for a draw.
yes, yeah. So you could potentially have a 14, 15 point draw, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 580 for 7 plays 492 for 8 or something in the first innings. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you then get the situation where if you are playing for a win, teams are playing for a win, the pitches are going to be prepared slightly differently, and then maybe you even bring the spinners back in early in the season to the equation. So there's got to be a rethink. There really has. But I think the thing is, again, you know, Dan's doing this. We're all looking at it in a more random, less analytical way and thinking it. But probably the people at ECB Towers haven't got the first clue of these sorts of trends. They're just like, oh, look at that. Our live streams are still going to 5 o'clock on a Monday afternoon on all our championship games. Isn't that fantastic? You know, that might well be what the situation is. But, you know, from our point of view, then it's a case of my only concern would be that it is difficult to win games at Taunton at the moment. So, in a way, Dan, it's a bit of a comfort that the gap isn't as big because we might end up drawing more than we win at Taunton this season.
I think, you know, Nick Pepper and his team were desperately trying to get some cracking
absolutely
wickets. You know, and I don't think for a second that, you know, the pitch that we played against Notts was in any way designed for a draw. You know, I fully believe that we back ourselves to beat anybody that comes to Taunton on a good cricket wicket. You know, because we have done. You know, not many sides, you know, tend to come to Taunton and roll us over. We do.
And I'm sure Nick's enjoyed the recent weather as well, which will give him a better chance to do what he wants to the wicket.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course the weather as well, you know, although they're not sort of massive green seamers, I gather that the cold kind of doesn't help pitch preparation in terms of getting pace and bounce into them, but that's way over my head. Yeah, so I mean, you know, we've been over the schedule 15 times. What can we do? You're not going to play the T20 in April. You play the Metro Bank in April. That means you've got to play some Championship cricket without your 100 players in August. Is that what you want? So, I mean, it kind of looks like we're stuck in it. Can we do like a reverse Kookaburra experiment? Is there a ball that does more than the Duke that we could find? The Tiflex.
Remember that?
Devon League.
Division...
I know we use them in the Devon League. They're not great, but mind you, we're probably not using the top of the range ones.
They used them in Division 2, sort of early 2010s, I think, specifically Division 2, but not in Division 1. I think they did more with I think they did more for bowlers than the Dukes.
Maybe try that. Maybe legalise ball tampering in April.
Yeah.
You know, everybody signs Cameron Bancroft. I mean, Gloucester would be top if they did that, instead of languishing at the bottom of Division 2. Although they did win, big up the Gloucesters, beating Derbyshire at the weekend. I mean, I mentioned before that none of those Division 1 games went into the fourth innings. Is it better? Which game is better? A game that doesn't go into the fourth innings or a game that doesn't go into the fourth day?
Better. A game that doesn't go in the fourth day, yeah.
I know it's a generalisation, but, you know, a game where you get a result rather than Ben Folkes bowling medium pace, which is quite handy as well, I thought. Didn't you see it? He got a couple to sort of lift and go away. I mean, if they got him on earlier in the day, maybe it might not have been a board draw. Who knows?
And obviously, the problem with pitches as well is that now you lose all the points you get in the match for a below average pitch. You get the deduction and you lose all the points you got in the match, which just encourages even more conservative pitch preparation. It's just the complete wrong direction to what everyone wants, particularly Somerset fans, given those troubles we've had with pitches over the years. The ECB is just going in the opposite direction. They're not encouraging spin. You know, even though it's well known that English players struggle to play spin, we don't, and it's well known that we don't produce that many spinners. And yet the ECB discourage it further. And yet next time we tour Asia, we'll have the same old problems, and everyone will say, "Well, why don't we encourage more spin in county cricket?" Like, they just don't seem to learn.
It's well before the time you two would have been going to cricket, but I'll say it again. I probably said it on the pod before. back in the days of 3-day championship cricket, when it was 100 over maximum first innings, and that went on for a long time. And I'm pretty certain was with the regs when we had the Glory, Richards, Garner, both years. That was, cricket mad 15-year-old. I didn't care. I'd go to the county, go and run down after school, do whatever, just to watch the cricket. But when you look back at it with the distance, it used to be 306 for 5 declared, played 301 for 8, innings closed, played 301 for 8, innings closed. And that would finish up with probably about an hour, hour and a quarter left on the second day. And so then you would have the situation of, do the captains get together and go, right, we'll have a biff and try and get 250 by lunch tomorrow and then we'll declare. And the games were just, looking back on it now, I'm like, why did I enjoy watching it so much? Because it wasn't great. And so when they changed to 4-day cricket, I thought this is great because you're going to have mini test matches and the better teams would come out on top. And I honestly think if we'd had 4-day cricket in the late 70s, we would have won the championship because the bowling attack was so strong then. We could have bowled anyone out twice and given proper circumstances. And chasing 250, 260 on the last day was not a problem for Rose, Denning, Richards, Roebuck, both met out. And so listening to Dan and as always so wisely explaining what's going on there is so sad because it seems to me that every objective that was right for setting 4-day cricket is being undermined by the regulations and the mindset. Yeah. And we've had some really good games, haven't we? That's how you want, be impartial for a minute. The neutral who didn't have any other cricket would have enjoyed those games. All 3 of our games have been good games that have kept the neutral involved to the end. Haven't been an awful lot of games outside of those that have been that way.
Here's a thought experiment then. What would happen if we did away with pitch penalties altogether?
Notts would win the championship like they did in the Hadley and Rice era.
But do you know what I mean?
Allegedly.
It can't be dangerous. It's got, it's got to be prepared. You're not allowed to leave 3 inches of grass on it. You're not allowed to. It's got to be evenly cut. But
with the current point system, you'd get flat ones still for sure, but you would also get ambitious counties, perhaps taking a few more risks to try and get a few more wins. And it would produce better cricket. It might produce more 2-day finishes, but it would produce better cricket. It probably produce more of a variety of conditions, and it would probably prepare England players a bit better for playing abroad.
Would you ever go to I know the extreme one I always kind of look back at is Essex 2019, mainly because we knew the weather forecast was going to give us 2 days of play to win the championship. So we needed to get a pitch that would give us a result in 2 days. So that, I think, is the extreme of what you could probably get away with. And I say get away with under my system of no penalties, but you kind of know what I mean. It's like, would you... It was a massive roll of the dice. It was shit or bust. The draw's no good. We've got to win, and we've got to win in 2 days. Now, you're only ever going to get that at maybe the last game, maybe 2 games of the season. So for the rest of the season, sides can on the side of a sporting cricket wicket, if you like. I don't want to say a bad pitch. I mean, because you aren't going to prepare something and then you get rolled over in 2 days and you make it look stupid. But removing that sort of gun to your head of saying, you can't do this, you can't do this. We've got to prepare a good pitch. We've got to prepare the pitch. It's got to be flat. Or we've got this 4-point suspended penalty hanging over our heads. Oh, this is really bad. I mean, that Durham pitch, there was wrong with it the first couple of days. They just all played stupid shots and got out. They looked at it, got in their heads, and they all played like twats. I don't know. I just think apart from the last 2 weeks of the season, you are just going to get the ground staff trying to with that threat removed, that you might see some more sporting wickets that give you some more exciting cricket. I nearly said better
And it
cricket.
would
People think better
self-regulate.
cricket is 500. It's not.
Yeah. It would self-regulate to some extent anyway, because if a county was producing bowler-friendly pitches all the time, then all their batters would want to leave and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
If batters aren't scoring any runs and aren't getting a chance to pile on the runs in order to play for England, they're going to want to leave, aren't they? And also, chief executives aren't going to be very happy if every match finishes in a day and a half or 2 days because of all the money that would be lost. And members wouldn't be very happy if the amount of cricket they wouldn't be seeing anymore if they're only seeing 2-day finishes. So, yeah, no county's going to be in the right mind is always going to be desperately trying to produce 2-day wickets. So, yeah, it's not the worst idea I've heard for sure.
That means a lot coming from you, Dan. Not the worst. It's not like my subs idea. But yeah, I just give it a go. Why not? When they brought that bloody Kookaburra ball in, so this is definitely not a worse idea than that. While we're on listeners' questions, then what else have we got? Saints 1885. I don't know if he's a Southampton fan with that Twitter name. Yeah, just echo what we're saying. Hampshire's grounds are prepared a good pitch. Andrew Frampton says, why only Surrey allowed to produce poor pitches? 5,500 spectators on day one, but if they continue to produce these pitches, surely these one-sided batting games will put people off. Well, absolutely. Can't disagree with that. I feel like we had more questions of that. Oh, Freddie Marsden asked what we think JT Language's future is this season. He's currently playing in the seconds against Saka up at Moseley, I think that one is. Yeah, I like him. I think if we're still at the top of the table, though, it's going to be a big call to give him an opportunity ahead of another senior bowler who's fit. That's the only thing. So it may be another one where you could possibly go on loan to get some overs under his belt in the county championship. But I like the look of him. He's got all the attributes. Very impressed with him in the Metrobank One Day Cup this year. But yeah, it's a big call to put him in the championship side. I think.
Yeah, we don't have masses of depth, so a couple of injuries and you might have to play. I mean, James Steedham has got a bit of an injury at the moment. I think he's not playing the current second half game. So if there's two or three injuries suddenly, JT Language would have to play in the county championship.
Well, yeah, a couple of injuries with the batters. That could quite easily happen with. If Craig Ovett had been sort of first slip instead of TKC and took that catch, it could have been a very different story. Thank God he wasn't. Was he bowling or was it Jake Ball that was bowling that one? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Good stuff. We have another reason why I have a reason. Well, you talked about tentative fate, Steve. I've got one as well. Do you know what? We're definitely going to win the championship this year. Dan's smacking. Dan might know.
No,
I have you never guessed what is nesting in the corner behind the roll-off and the Merva Pavilion.
Yeah, really?
Little family of blackbirds. It's all coming together. It is all coming together. Bob Depledge said, "Don't mention the double." I didn't mention the double. I've had a bet on us to do the double though, so fingers crossed that comes in. Yeah, Hannah comes again. You got blackbirds nesting behind your cabin. I went, what? My eyesight's terrible, so I couldn't quite I don't want to go between the gap to have a look and disturb her. So I've kind of got my decent camera out, and there she was. Mummy blackbird sat on the nest. Baby blackbirds behind the roll-off and the Merva Pavilion. It's all coming together. Speaking of coming together, then should we try and put a side together for the weekend, the bank holiday weekend, of course. Somerset welcoming Yorkshire to Taunton. I think Tom Carter Cadmell's not fit. Lewis Goldsworthy's not fit. So I presume the batting is as is. Archie Vaughan, Josh Thomas, Tom Lammonby, James Rue, Tom Abel, Will Smead, Craig Overton, Lewis Gregory, Miguel Pretorius, Alfie Ogborn, or Jake Ball, and Jack Leach. It's very difficult to go outside of that because we haven't really got anybody else fit.
Yeah, obviously Gregory, Craig nailed on. You think Mig will play? He didn't play the last game. Leach, yeah. So yeah, it's between Ogborn and Ball, isn't it? Interesting. Obviously, there might be.
You would fancy Ogborn to play, wouldn't you? Because if they're playing him on this, I know we had a week off, but he played alternate weeks for the first 3 games. So
yeah, I think I'd expect we have no kind of criteria for resting this week. It'll be all
my
systems
only
go.
question to you both is, given that the cricket press have now jumped on a certain Durham opener as the next thing to play for England, and Jason Kerr said that moving James Rew up the order was in his thoughts, is now the time to move James Rew up to open, and obviously one of Archie or Josh has to drop down to 4 or 5?
No, I don't think so.
Gibbo would say yes.
Not with the glove. I think if you're going to do it, it's got to be a long-term thing, and without the gloves as well.
Mm-hmm. So that's not going to happen until the next phase of the championship, then.
No, and I'm quite happy. I mean, if I'm Jason Kerr, who has signed a new contract today, so he's here for another couple of years, and I think if you look at his record, he can say it's pretty well deserved. I'm looking at it going, well, this is what I've done to get us to the top of the table, almost second, but you know what I mean. James Rew is churning out runs for fun at 4. I don't really want to change that. I've really got a compelling reason to change that. I think if England want to pick James Rew, they'll pick him. I don't think him opening for 3 games in the championship is going to make that much of a difference to how he would go opening the batting in the first test against New Zealand. I really don't. I just don't see what. If you're going to give a lad experience opening the batting, you've got to give him for like a year. Do you know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
Open the batting this week and then you're ready to open the batting for England. He's got all the attributes there. I don't, he's plenty of times he's been in quite early. A lot of times he's had to face a second new ball. I think for what it would detriment Somerset to how it would benefit James Rew, I don't kind of see the. I don't think he would see a massive benefit from it in terms of his own experience and also the chances of him opening the bat, of being selected to open the bat for England. I think he's been on the radar for long enough. He churns out runs. He's got brilliant head on his shoulders. He is the typical run machine. You just wind him up, send him out, and he gets on with it.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance England are going to pick him. I mean, regardless of whether he opens, I think they like the look of him. They like his attributes. They like the fact that he's churning out the runs, and it would send a decent. They've been talking about changing the messaging a bit, trying to pick players based on county runs, and he is the clear standout in the country really from over the last few years, and he's in form right now. And obviously, I think you alluded to Emilio Gay, Steve. He's only batting at 3 for Durham as well, so he's not actually opening. Obviously, 3 is a bit closer to opening than 4. But Rew did obviously score 100. Was it 100? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was 100 at 3 against Notts, didn't he, in the first game of the season?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's got all the attributes, and I hope, as Shep said, you worry about disrupting Rew slightly. What if we did put him up to open and then he struggled for a few games? That might kill his chances of getting into the England team. Yeah, I think at this point, if we were going to do it, I think we'd have done it at the start of the season. But as we said, he's keeping wicket, and it is very difficult to keep wicket and open the batting, on a consistent basis. So, and I think the ECB should understand that. I hope the ECB do understand that we aren't being difficult we aren't being difficult for the sake of it. We just genuinely don't think it's a good idea for a wicket-keeper to open the batting, which is a completely fair thing, because very few keepers do open the batting consistently in first-class cricket. You get it on the odd occasion, and Steve Davis did it a little bit for us, but never for a long period of time. So, it'd be interesting when Thomas Rew is available, whether he jumps straight into the team, and that does enable James to go up to open. But by then, James might be with the England team anyway, so who knows?
Yeah, I was kind of eagerly looking at the sort of the potential clashes on my cricketer wall chart. I mean, he would obviously complete this round of Championship games, and then probably miss the 2 in the middle of the blast, to 4 at the start of the next one, and then be available for the last 2 if he was with the England test team. So, I mean, such split loyalties on this one.
Yes,
Love
is,
him.
yeah.
I'd love him to not be picked for England and, you know, be our gun and score 1,500 runs in the middle order. But then again, you know, he is, from pretty much the second he strode out in that game against Lancashire and made his debut, just looked the part and looked destined for bigger things. So, you know, he's international class, and he deserves to play for England. So it's a good job we got a spare.
Yeah, they say in football, don't they, that a lot of very sensible managers, if a player wants to leave, the way you let a player go affects the ability to sign players coming in. That was very much a Klopp mantra, that when the fans were unhappy because a player had left, he would say that. And I think the same sort of applies here, that, you know, yes, if we are in a position in August or July, where we want him to play in those Champo games, but he's playing for England, the split loyalties are unbearable if we're chasing the title. But if it creates the pathway for other talented young players who might be looking where to move to, wow, look at what Somerset have done. They're giving the young players a chance, not just James going to England, but Thomas, Alfie, Josh, JT Langridge potentially all coming through the pathway. There's dividends to be reaped there, in my opinion, from that. So, you know, we are fortunate that we do have, you know, we could potentially have Thomas coming in and taking James's place, and we might be going 3 weeks' time, who's missing James Roux? You know, Thomas is doing perfectly fine. You don't know, do you? So,
Yeah.
you know, and back in the 70s...
We'll have Bantam back fit. We'll have TKC back fit. We'll have Lewis Goldsworthy back fit. So I spent a fun afternoon on Twitter today helping Tom Banton fix his Hotmail, which was quite fun and quite unexpected. He put out a thing on Twitter said, "Oh, my Hotmail's not working." So I was sort of what I do for a living. So I was going to message him back, saying, "Have you tried this, this, and this?" Next thing I know, he's slid into my DMs, and we're having a little back and forth about, "Have you tried this? Can I reset the password? This, that, and the other." So. Yeah, that was quite an unexpected way to spend an hour and a half or so this Saturday.
Shame it wasn't a Teams call, and he could have seen the shirt behind you for the Teams call. That would have been good.
I'm sure Barry's a regular viewer, and he's seen the shirt. So yeah, but then I think he eventually worked out there's probably something wrong at Microsoft's end, and it's going to sort itself out in the next day or so. So, but yeah, I hope your Hotmail's sorted, Tom, and also your finger as well, which is much more important. Just going to quickly double check Twitter again. I don't think we've done anything. We've missed anything. Dan, question from your dad. He wants to know why the England players aren't playing for Somerset tomorrow. This is a good one. Oh, I didn't see this one. This is from the real CH3. Here's an oddball. I don't know if he's referring to himself or the question. As a Somerset supporter on the other side of the pond in Dallas, Texas, that obviously can't attend games in person, what's the best way to help support the club? Well, I don't know. Well, obviously, listening to this podcast is a great start there. I was going to call you CH.
There's associate membership, isn't there?
Associate membership, which gets you 5 tickets or something like that. I mean, you could still become a member, and you are allowed to vote at the AGM, I believe, even if you are over there in the States. So you have to stop you becoming a member.
If you ask nicely, the president would probably visit.
He may do, yeah. Have you seen what President Junior's up to at the moment?
No.
On the TV? Have you seen what old 9:00 tonight, Channel 4, Wanless Junior?
Okay.
Say no more. I could never have gone on and done that. So fair play to him. Fair play to Bertie for taking the plunge. And Dad, he's gone on Virgin Island. So it's I sort of saw that, and I saw him on the advert, and I sort of texted. texted Peter and said, "Is that your lad on the telly?" He went, "Yeah, I'm very proud of him. He's done it very brave." So,
Never heard of him.
yeah, he's on that. He's Bertie. So, yeah, do give that a watch tonight after you finish listening.
Wow.
I was saying, very brave of him.
The other thing, I guess, for CH is, I'm sure it won't be cheap, but Ben would always be keen to dispatch you some merch if, not that a hoodie or a fleece would be needed in Dallas most of the year, but I'm sure
like a
Somerset one-day shirt and a pair of shorts would go down nicely.
Buy something from the shop. I mean, just pop a comment in on the live stream. Messages the club. I mean, there's all sorts of ways of doing it. But I think the most important thing is that you are a Somerset supporter, and we are a broad family, as we can see. There we are worldwide as well, which is fantastic. I mean, it's not
spread
that
the
far
word
from
because
tomorrow.
it helps Ben's
If you'd have
social
messaged in
media
last
engagement
week,
stats.
If you'd have messaged in last week, you could have met up for a pint, couldn't you? When you were
Oh yeah,
in
because
America?
Orlando and Dallas are right next door to each other.
I'm going to say not that far, is it? It's it's a bit like
He could have popped over in the evening for a drink at Disney Springs.
Not that far.
Yeah, of course it is.
And Brandon, I don't know what substances Brandon's on, but he said, "Can we have a season-long mission to find out Jake Ball's favourite cheese?" Well, who knows? Something from the Midlands, probably, being a Mansfield boy. On that note, then, do we have AOB to discuss?
I just wish the boys good luck and fair weather for the weekend.
Absolutely, and the girls as well. We want to be undefeated in April, please, Sophie Love. If you could sort that out for us, that would be absolutely fantastic. And I can sing Blackbirds so loud, let me Blackbirds get disturbed. My good luck, Blackbirds.
Spring Watch with Ian Shepherd.
Absolutely. Right. Unfortunately, circumstances mean I can only get to the ground on Monday if the game's still going on that long. I presume it will be, given what we've been talking about pitches. So, yeah, if you're about, I'll see you then. Otherwise, we'll catch up with you next week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheerio.